Hi there, and welcome to the Digital Strategy Podcast. My name is Chris, and I have been working in digital strategy for years now. Obviously, I started out in web design, and what we're going to look at today are 5 reasons why it's absolutely essential for every business to have a website. And of course, this is something I've been saying for over 10 years as I was pitching websites to clients. But it's more true now than it ever was, simply because, as it has been for a long time, the marketplace is digital. And of course, we're going to cover that in these reasons. But I really want to say that when I'm teaching digital strategy to clients and talking about all of the different ways that you might optimize your business for less work, more revenue, or improved marketing, it's very easy for all of these digital strategies to be tied back to the website. My opinion is that the website should be the hub of your lead generation machine. It should be the hub of your entire digital strategy, and therefore at the hub of your optimized business. And I say that because I learned so much about digital strategy from creating websites. The first time I learned about what a lead generation, what a lead magnet is, and how you would implement that on a website, and what the intention of that was, how it helps to nurture leads so that they will actually become customers. I learned that because a client who knew more about me at that point, more than me at that point, about all of that conversion process, asked me to put it on their website. Now, I've always wanted to ask why and learn that which I don't know. So, which is what you do when you learn. But I've always wanted to step outside my bubble and continue to learn. And so, my point really is that as I've been working as the tech guy on so many websites over the years, I've very naturally become knowledgeable about digital strategy and how that impacts a business. And so, in reverse, that is exactly why I would say that if you want to optimize your business with strategy, with digital strategy, and do less to earn more, it all ties back to the website. I was the website guy who learned about this because of that relationship. And it still is amazing to me that there are so many business owners out there who either don't have a website or they have a non-functional website. It's more like an online digital business card. They have that, but then they'll spend thousands of pounds on print media and leaflet drops or other sort of digital marketing that does not work, or is at least much more expensive and far less effective. And it baffles me how that can still be the case, to be honest. Now, no insult, because if I'm speaking to you and this starts to land, then that might be you. So if you do not have a website, or you have a website but you're not sure it's really working for you, then use these 5 reasons that we'll cover today as criteria to stand up against your current presence, and or to stand up against either your current website or against your current processes for lead generation and sales, and see if you feel that this will be valuable. If you feel by the end of this that your process is lacking, then the solution is a professional website, not something built by Wix or Squarespace by someone's nephew. A professional website built for scale, built for integration with modern marketing campaigns and tools, built with SEO in mind. You need a professional website that has been built and designed, or designed and built with the strategy in mind for your business. But yeah, let's get to it. Now this is the point where I say let's jump right into it after a 5-minute talk. But yes, so if any of this lands, you need a website. But let's look at why it will benefit your business. So the first one, and let's just cover the most obvious one first, is that the marketplace these days is digital. You will find your marketplace operating and looking for products in the digital realm. You know how I read sci-fi fantasy books, so I'm full of these words. But space would be the better word. Now, the whole idea of marketing, if we look at the fundamentals of marketing throughout any of its changes, way back when it was horse and cart, you would go to where the people are. You would go to where there is an agreed meeting place where people would want to buy. You would go to market, literally. And you would make your business visible. You would present what your business offers to those that might have interest in purchasing from your business. The fundamentals are still there. When I was younger, we had the yellow pages, and we had lots of direct mail and leaflets. We had adverts on the side of vans and posters. And of course, for those that had a few more pennies in their pocket, you would have something like radio advertising. The idea of all of these was to put the idea of your business, present your business to people wherever they were. People stuck in rush hour, they're listening to the radio, your advert would come on. People on a bus, you would have a poster. They would glance at it. But these days, I should quickly mention yellow pages. When people wanted to actually search actively for a business, they would go to the best known directory, yellow pages, if you can remember that. But these days we're in a digital space. Our market is in a digital space. So we don't use yellow pages. People go to search listings or search tools. Obviously, we mean there Google. The idea is that you need to have your business visible in that space. If we talk about instead of radio, nobody's listening to the radio these days. They're not sitting in rush hour listening to the radio. They're listening to curated podcasts. They're essentially, your customers are not looking up at the world around them. They're looking at their phones. They're in that digital space. They're sitting on the loo. They're sitting at the bus stop. They're looking at their phone. And if they have any reason to actually actively search for any business, they're going to go to their phone to do that. So you need to exist in a digital yellow pages, Google, or in surrounding business directories for a service business. You need to advertise, not in leaflets through doors. We literally call it junk mail and we throw it away before we look at it. You need to advertise in digital spaces. So that's having your leaflet, I'm doing air quotes for those that can't see me, move into the eye line of your target market in a digital space. So that's in a Facebook feed or in an Instagram reel. You need your business to be visible there. So obviously it's a website that does that. You can have adverts and you can put adverts on Facebook or adverts on Instagram without necessarily having a website, of course. But the important thing is that they need to respond to that digital media. They need to respond to that digital advert that you've put out there. And therefore you need a digital presence for them to move to. It's no good having someone see your Instagram reel and then tell them to phone your phone number. That's not going to work. Or email me at mybusiness.co.uk. Nobody's going to punch that into their email. The entire process of conversion needs to be as frictionless as possible, and we have to get as close as we can to Amazon's one-click purchase. So on Instagram, for example, it's even advantageous to use their lead forms, because as soon as somebody says learn more, it autofills with their information. You can make it so that it clicks to your own website and they would manually put in the information. But if you want that initial lead, it's advised that as soon as they click, it autofills with the information that Instagram has for that person and you get that lead information. Otherwise, they just might bounce away, and it's about minimizing that. So if you want to exist and market in these digital spaces, you need to have a digital storefront for them to actually go to. And obviously, the website is where you do that. Just a final note on that. You can have a digital presence in something like Instagram. You can have a digital presence in something like your podcast or Facebook. A lot of people think that a Facebook shop or an Etsy shop will suffice. But you've got to consider there that your competitors are always around your digital presence in that sense. Etsy, you can't show a product on your page without 10 products just like it and maybe a bit better or cheaper are displayed around your product. If you really care about conversions, you need to attract people to your own website, your own digital space, and then control the presentation and the customer journey. And where possible, then capture that audience, because Facebook, Instagram, Etsy, they can all change their algorithm and hide you at a moment's notice. So a website is where you channel all of you want to think of all of these different social digital presences, digital presence, I don't know, as absolute top of funnel, and you need to channel those, funnel them into your website, and then perform some form of audience capture so that you have your own fish in a barrel. Okay, so that's the reason why every business absolutely needs a website. It's about digital presence, it's about a place to direct people to, and it's a place where you can capture audience and control the journey and the visibility of your business. Okay, so let's go on to reason number 2. Okay, so this is a bit more functional in the lead generation process, but a website obviously is where you can present information. It's where you can, like I've just said, sort of control the narrative and present a customer journey. But the presentation of information and the call to action can also qualify or disqualify, more importantly, leads. Now, the idea of lead generation, and I've just done quite an extensive couple of blog posts on lead generation and funnels. If you want to read that, follow the notes to my website and check out the blog. But the idea with lead generation really is that we want to disqualify bad leads, cold leads, as soon as possible, because they take up time and money. So if we consider that you get your website functioning and you have a contact form and 100 people, you've done a Google ad and you have 100 people submit through your form. Debbie on the desk goes into work on Tuesday and she has 100 contact form submissions. Now, obviously, the next step in the process, and a lot of businesses don't really think about this, is for Debbie to now contact everyone who has submitted a form. That's 100 people. And she's going to probably spend 5 to 10 minutes on each one of those. That's the majority of her day, if not going into the next one. But let's say, now not all of those are going to turn into an actual customer. Obviously, these are what we call leads. They give us an indication that they've submitted a form, they are a lead, that they have some measure of interest. So now we have to turn our attention to them. But let's say that 53 of them, let's say your contact form had a qualifying question on there, something that tries to determine whether this lead qualifies with your criteria, with your prospect criteria. Let's say this question is price related. Okay, so put it in my terms, a website. How much do you think you want to spend on your website? 0 to 500, 500 to 50 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to, let's not put a limit on it, 5,000 to whatever you'll give me. Now, if 53 people say that they would not want to spend £1,000, more than £1,000, and my lowest price is £1,000, then I can disqualify those. It means that Debbie on the desk only has to contact 47 people tomorrow. It means that she can prioritize the time, that the resource that is time, and the time is money. This is all the more important for local business, because local businesses have smaller teams. We have to wear many hats. It's important that we are optimizing the use of our time. And disqualifying leads is a way that we can do that. So essentially, it's that you can give more time to strong leads and optimize your business for revenue. Now, you may want to push back on that and say, well, okay, but I would rather speak to every lead and ensure that because maybe I can actually encourage them to spend the money. First of all, generally that's not going to be the case. I I I check out the prices on the menu outside a restaurant because I don't want to spend past a certain amount, and that's my red line as a customer. It would be a waste of everyone's time if I stroll on in there and sit down, then look at a menu, and then suffer the spotlight syndrome as I'm like, no, hell no, I'm leaving. These are ridiculous prices. I'm not that customer. That's fine. I'd rather know that before I walk in the door. And so, yeah, it's an important process for everyone involved. The other thing is that people don't actually want to have a lower budget than a service is requesting. So again, people actually have the preference for this. But if you're thinking, okay, I'd rather try and talk somebody up, and you think that's a good way to spend your marketing time and money, then that's fine. But perhaps you even want to actually operate with this on tiers. So let's take my example, 0 to 500. I would not even give them I might have an automated message where it says, hey, I think with your budget you have in mind, you want to go to Wix or Squarespace, but when you realize you need to invest properly in your business, please give us a call. They would get a clear sort of, no, okay, off you trot, automated, done. 500 to 1,000, they may then have possibility to be warm to an offer. So, for example, a low website, a low foundation website, it does get them in the door as your customer. So perhaps you might have what I would call an onboarding package, which is a bare bone basic foundation website, which is built to scale when they want to invest the money. But it at least brings them in as your customer, and you'll get my terms, and you would have the hosting and the maintenance recurring fees per month. I think that's worth a punt, to be honest. But it starts the relationship. So again, that could actually be automated. So any submissions, for the second pricing tier, it qualifies them for the foundation website. It might be a lower price and certainly a lot less time spent on it, but you would call it something like an onboarding offer. And that will do for those people. That's actually kind of what they expect. They don't really want any more than that. Everyone else, you would actually follow up with a sales call, and that time spent in taking them further in the lead process. So the act of qualification, just from the use of a contact form with a qualifying question, you can see how powerful that is. And if you set that up with automated responses, you're really on your way to starting to categorize your leads and optimize your use of time. Really, really important optimization for a business. Of course, you're doing less to earn more with that because you have more time to give to stronger leads. So up your marketing or increase your marketing for stronger, more qualified leads, those who want to pay more. And you're going to start filling that time that you've reclaimed. So yeah, a website can very simply help you qualify, or more importantly, disqualify leads, and it saves you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and is going to bring in more money through that optimization. Okay, number 3. I will just say another way, obviously, to qualify is actually have prices on your website, on your service pages, even if it's a from price, even if it's a ballpark figure. I have that on my website just because I want to be transparent with pricing, and they can go elsewhere. But again, obviously, it saves you time if they don't even bother submitting the form. Okay, number 3, your website will act as your best salesperson, your best representative. Now, every business, no matter what you do, I guarantee there are 10 questions that you have answered 1,000 times, and you know your response off by heart. Now, there are 2 aspects to this, actually. One of them is that there are 3 aspects. Let's go through them. If you've said something 1,000 times, with a website, you can say it once, i.e. write it down in your frequently asked questions section, and that's it. The most you have to say in any response is, please check out any inquiries on the frequently asked questions section, and then they're in your controlled customer journey. But the second aspect of that actually is that most people in the digital space don't want to phone you up or walk into your store and ask the question. They would prefer to find you on Google or by some recommendation or advert, whatever you've got outreaching there, and then they want to have a look themselves. Actually, people don't really like face-to-face contact anymore, and they really don't like the time spent on a phone call. So the first place they want to go and find this is your frequently asked questions section. So write it there once, and you don't have to say it 1,000 times in the next year. It's a better process for everyone. The other aspect to that is that, let's say you're a service-based business, you've got yourself and you've employed one other person, but you're both on a job. Your phone will be ringing every day while you are busy talking to a customer face to face or actually on the job. You can't always go and pick up the phone and answer that question for the 987th time. Now, there are a lot of those customers who just aren't going to wait for you to call back, or aren't going to call back later and speak with you. They're going to go to someone else and see if they can get the answer that they need. You've just lost a sale because of the lack of the availability of information. It's highly likely that they could have asked a question or found the question on your website, and then there's a call to action there. They would have been in touch with you if they were that interested. But finding a dead end is the worst thing that you can do for a customer. And so if that's because, you're on the job and you can't answer the phone, you've just really lost an opportunity there. So your website actually presents all of that information. If you've set it up correctly, you're going to have set out sections for your services. You're going to have frequently asked questions, and all the content on that page is going to be mindful of the general objections that customers tend to have to your service. Every service has them. Often it's to do with something like time, location, or price. And they're trying to weigh up whether there's value from your service. And for example, is it worth the money? Is this actually valuable enough that what I invest with you is going to come back to me in that value? Or should I do it myself? The copy on your website, the text, the content of it should be addressing those. It doesn't have to be so explicit, but it can be something very, very subtle. Like a lot of clients, a lot of people have tried their own DIY options, and some of them get on, but some people find these issues can occur. This would cost you a few thousand, whereas the actual maintenance fix is just £29 per month. Now, obviously, that is handling an objection. It's the idea of should I do repair or maintenance? And your website is going to be presenting that information without you having to do anything. So it's your best salesperson in that regard. The other thing it does is it answers the most common questions, as we just discussed. At the bottom of every service page should be a range of specific frequently asked questions. And that's going to do a lot of the work for making someone ready for a conversion-focused call. So if somebody has processed all of the information on your website and then submitted a form, they are already quite informed about your service, what you offer. They feel comfortable about how you've handled the objections, and you've answered a lot of their questions. So a lot of that sales process is out of the way, and they've already started to trust you. Another thing that your website is always doing is saying how awesome you are. So your accreditation logos are plain to see. You should be at least presenting little review snippets with 5 stars, telling them just how great everyone thinks you are. And of course, this is helping to build up authority and credibility, but also the like and the know and the trust. All of this is able to occur on your website if you've formed it well and been attentive to the copy that you've got on there. And so in that sense, a website really is acting as your best salesperson. And do you know what? It's doing it while you sleep. That's the really fantastic thing. There are so many things out there where everyone's like, oh, okay, I want to earn money passively and everything. It's like, well, get a website. When somebody sits on the loo at 2 in the morning and the flush doesn't work, before you even get into work, they have Googled and looked for emergency plumber and found your page because you got me to help you rank it for that in local search, and then they have submitted the form and asked you for emergency help. You come in at 8:30 in the morning and you've got that lead solid because your website was up and working while you were snoring. So yeah, rule number 3, that's a really, really big one. Okay, reason number 4 why a website is absolutely essential for a business today is that it helps with retention. So if you look at a lead generation process, and again, I've put out 2 quite extensive posts or a few quite extensive posts onto my site quite recently. I do recommend that you check those out. But if you look at the entire lead generation process, you're going to find that the highest converting leads are actually existing customers. Retention is far cheaper and therefore more profitable than acquisition. So you've already done a lot of the process with somebody who has actually become a customer. And if you are going to keep them, well, 2 things. If you're going to, 1, keep them in touch with you and keep them happy if you've done a good job, then they're more favorable. They're more likely to come back to you and use your service in the future. You are the person that they use, obviously. They've built up that level of like, know, and trust. They obviously believe in your authority and credibility to some degree. But the other part of it is that you can make them feel special. You can make them feel like they are getting the VIP treatment. They're getting perks because they are in your community. And community is one of the really strong factors, really powerful factors of the entire lead generation process these days. Lead generation has really, really changed, and community is an important part of that. If somebody believes that they are in a VIP area, if they're getting the perks, then you are obviously top of mind. They want to retain those perks, and your website is absolutely essential to doing this. So let's think of a couple of ways that you can utilize this, keep existing customers, retain existing customers with your website. The first one is with discount codes. Now, you have an existing customer and they've bought your service or product recently, and you get that new season. It might be a Christmas season, and you want to let them know what products and gifts you have for the Christmas theme. You might be a restaurant and be releasing your Christmas menu. Of course, you might actually be something like a garage, an MOT garage or service garage, and you want to remind them that they have a seasonal task coming up, such as the service or MOT, and you're able to give them those prompts to consider you next time. We see this quite a lot. We benefit from it quite a lot as consumers. But this is something you're really easily able to do with your own website. You can mail out to your existing customers and you can offer them a discount code. Now, a discount code is obviously something that would be used in purchase generally, or you can notify your customers to go along to your blog and they will find a discount code on your website with some sort of level of engagement. There are lots of different ways to do it, but we're going to move on to point number 5, which is where we can talk about how to really utilize discount codes. But also on your site, you can have a members area, and a members area would generally have high value items such as discount perks or discount or particular information such as VIP blogs, a load of tips, or say you're running a guitar shop or a music shop. It might be that as an existing customer, they can go into the blog and they get a free lesson every week or something along those lines that you are releasing in the VIP area. There are so many ways that you can gate content and make that exclusive to existing customers that it makes them feel special. It always reminds them of you the next time they want to make a purchase of a service or a product. So yeah, customer retention is absolutely essential. And again, it's where you will find a lot of value for sales, but it's an easier process to win that lead or take that lead to sale. So think of existing customers as you want to loop them back around as many times as you can, obviously, and increase their lifetime value. But the website, with all of the different ways that you can gate content, give them exclusives, provide them with news and updates that would benefit them, this is something you really want to use. So reason number 5, this is something I feel quite passionately about, is that it can really improve your conversions. Now, if you've got the lead generation funnel, if you want to call it that, the last point in that is the conversion, and it's where everything matters. We want to get as close as we can, whether it's service or product, to a one-click buy, to Amazon's very famous one-click buy. We want to make it as frictionless as possible. And yet, especially with service businesses, we have this convoluted process quite often, which is emailing an invoice. The invoice then has to be opened and then connected to a bank app, often with manually transferred bank details and maybe setting that up, and then a confirmation of the invoice. Like, there are so many steps in that process, most of all for the customer, but it's just something that increases friction. And if we think of it in this sense, if somebody quickly purchases and buys a service, then they want to use it. There would have to be a whole refund process, and customers can't be bothered to do that either. So my position is that every service business should have e-commerce functionality. Everyone thinks that it's a case of service businesses have brochure websites and shops and craft sellers have an e-commerce website. But this isn't the case. Whether it's a service or a product, you want to be able to sell with the least amount of friction possible. So there should be some way, even if it's only deposit payment, to have somebody do a one-click buy on your website for a service. And this is going to improve the conversion process. It's going to make it less friction, and it brings them into your circle more quickly. Now, this works whether somebody has come along to your website, read your FAQs, your website's selling for you, and it might be something like, and it presents that you can get your first session for 25% off if you purchase online. Now, that's really fantastic. Think of that as being something like a salon or even a garage, a local garage for an MOT. Yes, we do MOTs. Book your MOT now, or at least pay for your MOT now, and you get a 20% discount, and we'll sort out, and someone will be in contact to arrange the booking. You don't have to commit to using a booking app if you don't want. The point is you make someone jump on impulse, and then a one-click buy, and you've got their money, and now they've got the incentive to use you as a service. And that can work with garages, it can work with a salon, that first appointment. It can work with, what was I going to say there? I can't even remember. Damn it, doesn't matter. It works with any service base where you have a first meeting and there might be a fee. Or personal trainers, that's what I was going to say. So if you have e-commerce functionality on your site, you have a smoother payment process and it makes conversions easier. They don't have to submit a contact form and then have you contact them back and you do that whole talk. For those that are ready, for those that are prepped, for those for whom your website has really sold your service and your product, you can, it's going to be a win. You're going to increase those conversions because they'll jump in with a sale. Now let's think of this actually in terms of upsells. Not only are we improving our conversions initially, but we're also going to improve the worth of those conversions, because let's take a PT, for example. I can't think of anyone who would see that they're motivated enough to get a PT session. They know they're going to do more, but you offer one session. Yeah, you offer one session purchase on the website, but it says you can buy 4 sessions now for 20% off. They're going to upsell, most likely, or at least a good enough proportion of them. They're going to upsell to the package of 4. Now, you've got them on board, then you've got them committed, and you've got that cash flow into your business. So again, not only does it help somebody act on impulse, which increases conversions, not only does it make the process easier, which increases successful conversions, but it also successfully upsells. The other thing to think about here is that, again, I can't think of how this doesn't work for any business, any service business. But if we've got a salon, for example, there are products that you want to sell alongside the haircuts and the hair processes. My gosh, I don't know. That there are products that you could sell additional to that, and these can feature on your website. So even though you are a service-based website, you have a range of products, and it's not that you have to base your entire profit system on these products, but it's a nice Brucey bonus if somebody who was sat in the chair, had a haircut, and you've used a certain product on their hair, and they're offered to buy it. As we know, this happens. They might not take it at that point, but if at the point of paying for their haircut, they're given a card with the website on it, and it says, well, you've got a 10% discount if you do choose to purchase the product. It's on our website. It increases the likelihood that they are actually going to buy additional products. Let's take a garage, for example. You're chatting away to a client or a customer at the garage, and there are additional products that you could be selling. Now, you've already got they've already got, sorry, you've already got been awarded, oh God, they already believe that you have authority and credibility. They trust you, they like you, and when you recommend this battery pack or this set of jump leads or this oil, and you can purchase it straight off our website, you're going to start increasing sales that are coming from your business. It's a nice addition to the service charges that you're always paying for or always pushing, and it gives a more rounded service anyway. But again, this is something that people don't consider. If you've got your own website, you can actually take sales for both services and additional products. So you're setting up a whole ecosystem there, as well as improving the entire conversion process and upselling with different packages. So I'm going to leave it there. I think I want to explore all of these a bit more in detail in different ways. But that's a nice rounded list, and it's not exhaustive either, of all the different benefits that you can get into your business if you have a website that's built professionally, more than Wix and Squarespace. But it's built in such a way that it enables you to use all these different strategies for essentially lead generation to conversion and retention. That's the idea with all of this. That's what business is all about. You might have different services at the core of all of these. So again, I've mentioned PTs, salons, garages, all of that, but a lot of it works the same. It's about attracting people to what you do and then maximizing on opportunities to sell and convert and bring those all back again to increase the lifetime value of a customer. That's what it's about. And I learned about all of this from making websites. Websites are at the core of this entire process. So it's the most important digital asset that you can have built, and yet everybody's trying to get it done for £300 to £500 or free if possible, simply because they don't understand the value of it. I would encourage you to think about your digital presence, think about your business processes and how that could be improved so that you are doing less but earning more, and how the website can be at the heart of that. Okay, cool. If you have any thoughts on this, if you have any pushback, or you have further questions, I would love you to chuck them in the comments below. You're also welcome to message me directly, chrisgood.online, and you can throw me a message there. And of course, there you're going to find additional blogs with more in-depth information. I try to make them quite extensive teaching blogs. And yeah, loads more content there, obviously. But yeah, do keep in touch. And if you've enjoyed this, give it a like, give me a follow, and share it with someone that might enjoy it also. Okay, cool. Hope you have a really great day, and I'll catch you on the next one.